Um, welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out on this wintry June evening. Can we all please stand for the opening prayer and custodian statement? Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of our city. Amen. And I also wish to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land on which we stand and pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Do we have any apologies? No. Item 3, confirmation of minutes. Can we get a move that the minutes of the scheduled council meeting held on the 6th of May 2024 be confirmed? Councillor Jelly, Councillor Taylor to second. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 4, declarations of conflicts of interest. Are there any conflicts of interest tonight? No. Item 5, mayoral presentation. It's been a busy month in Warrnambool over May. It was really exciting to see the Eisteddfod kicking off with speech, drama, music and debating. It's a really big congratulations to the committee of volunteers there, the conveners of the event and all the different locations that they have. It's actually been really great to see, you know, some of our younger citizens really starring in all of these different disciplines. It was also really great to have the Dairy Awards here, and thank you to Deputy Mayor Councillor Jelly for attending. It was I think it's really important, the recognition of a local industry and what dairy does for not just Warrnambool but the wider southwest. So that's been really good. Because while Councillor Jelly was at the Dairy Awards, I was down at the MAV State Assembly, which our two motions that we put up for the airport funding and the Airbnb passed, even though the Airbnb had a bit of an amendment. So we'll continue to work towards an outcome from those two motions with the MAV moving forward. And one of the last ones that only happened last week was the South West Victoria Alliance launch at State Parliament last week. We actually had over 50 industry leaders, as well as Minister Natalie Hutchins, the Leader of the Opposition, John Pasuto, and Jacinta Emakora. Thank you to all of them for their time and all the work they did helping to set it up. And also for every single one of those industry leaders and all the members of the Alliance taking the time to bring the Southwest to Parliament so that we could really advocate and put a face to the issues that we put forward. And I just want to remind everyone that the Solstice Search Party is coming up this month, down on the 29th of June, down at Lake Patobe. I think that we've sold sold over 1,000 tickets right now. So come along and make it a great night. It's actually going to be really, really special. There's going to be an effigy and all sorts of other things. So get down and check it out. It's going to be really, really good. We'll move on to item 6, public question time. Mr. Mason.
Mayor, there have been no public questions submitted.
Thank you, Mr. Mason. We'll now move on to item 7, reports, and we'll go to 7.1, Warrnambool City Council 2024-2025 budget. Do we have any questions? Can I have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
I'd like to move the motion per the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Jelly. Councillor Arnott.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to thank the executive team for the diligent work they've put in on the budget under some difficult conditions. I do feel it is a responsible budget and it's financially sound. Yes, we are going to have a rate increase of 2.75%, but that is in line with the Victorian Government fair go rates. And if we break that down just a little bit further, for houses valued between $500,000 and $1 million, it's 88 cents a week. Less than $500,000, we're looking at 80 cents a week. And another thing to remember too, the council is not immune to extenuating circumstances like everyone in the community. We do have a rise in our building and construction costs, work cover premiums, compliance and regulation costs, as well as the electoral commission costs as well. And at the same time, we're contending with a diminished grants program. However, we have a capital works program based on of 27.9 million, which comprises 10.4 million of existing and ongoing projects and 17.5 million of new project allocation. And one of the things that I'm very pleased to see in our budget is the allocation of 2.1 million to upgrade the Matron Swinton Childcare Centre. And I'm sure everyone is very well aware of just how difficult it is to get childcare at the moment. And by providing this funding, we hope to create 33 extra childcare spaces, as well as a new multi-purpose room for some consultations. So I think that is really good. Just also touching on the waste management charge has a small decrease from $427 to $417. And this budget, we're concentrating on decreasing our borrowings. But of course, we have also allocated in our asset renewal money towards roads, bridges, footpaths and buildings, which is really important. And we have kicked off, we're starting to, or beginning the groundwork with a community consultation for a new aqua zone. So when we talk about those sort of projects in the future, council is probably going to need to borrow. We will have a surplus of 8.3 million, but that is allocated to some capital works and as well as loan repayment within council. So I'm very happy to support this budget. As I've said before, I think it's a reasonable and responsible budget. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased to put forward this budget and, like Councillor Arnott, congratulate the executive staff for schooling us through this in the last months, and it was done in a much better way this last year, so that's great, better understanding. We've been conservative but very sound in this budget and had to consider rising costs like every other business. No cuts to services as such. We've recommitted to providing home support services, including aged and disability care, which is a very important area in our community, where many other councils across the region have stopped these vital services. So in that decision this couple of months ago was a very important one for the future years. We've had a lot of things happen in the last year. Funds towards West Wonderful Neighbourhood House, which will come to fruition. Some new budget capital works allocations, $100,000 for Heritage Centre planning, which is to do with History House and the city's heritage works. The $100,000 will look at planning of some sort of a new home, what that could be, whether it's a new build or an existing building perhaps, but it lets us plan for the future because we need to look after our city's history, and it's very important. Public records, the Warrnambool and District Historical Society and Heritage Works working together, run by volunteers, who painstakingly gather and catalogue and preserve items, historical information of local historical significance. So it's important they get a new home at some stage, but there's some money there to start planning for that. So that's a really good outcome. And something to remind, Councillor Arnott's spoken about the rate, what the rate facts and figures are, but also to remind everyone that we are also still putting forward $250 financial hardship rebate for people to apply for if they feel they would like to. and to contact our customer service downstairs or anyone for that, but that's important to remember.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, I'll reiterate the thanks and congratulations to the officers for generating a good budget. It's a responsible budget. Of course, everybody in the community, or many people in the community, will say, look, you've put the rates up again. But really, we've done it very responsibly. We've been very conservative about it. And what's pleased me in particular is the fact that we've not cut the services to our most vulnerable, that we've actually improving our services to childcare services with the Swinton development, and our aged care services also being maintained, which, as other councillors have said, have been cut in a lot of other municipalities. We've actually managed to maintain those kind of things. We've got money there for some roadworks. We've got money for future developments of things that we need. I'm really quite impressed by the job that the officers have done with this budget.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Paspaliaris.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say that council's been more proactive this time around with some earlier efforts to promote its preparation of the 24-25 budget. So it's offered initial engagement in November, December last year. And whilst the uptake, in my view, was limited, it was a great step forward in trying to inform the community and asking for some feedback early on in that preparation phase. So I think that's a really nice step towards being, more proactive, reaching out first and getting some information on board earlier on in the piece. So I think that's complementary to the council officers. The rates are proposed to increase by 2.75% as per the rate cap. It is slightly lower than the 2.95% endorsed this time last year. I agree with fellow councillors where we have been, we've aimed to be responsible in a lot of aspects with no new borrowings for the new financial year. And this is with a view to consider that there are some bigger projects on the horizon which will likely need further and major funding. And it's good to see that council has been paying down its debt, so that is down from 8.5 million to 6.8 million. I would like to keep rates the same, and I pay them like everyone else. But I know and acknowledge the services that council does provide, and I know that the rates that I and others pay is going to the greater good in this community. Council, from what I've seen, is genuinely trying to do what it can to be mindful of rising costs. So things like, separating tenders at Briley to ensure that they get a better deal for some aspects of projects. I think that given capital works makes up a large portion of council's budget, there are the increasing costs of construction and materials. Council's done a good job at trying to absorb, but inevitably those sorts of things can influence budgets and these types of decisions. But I think council's genuinely doing what it can in a meaningful way in changing its traditional approach to some projects and some capital works. And I just think that there are, there's no doubt that there are costs for everyone, including council, that have increased exponentially in the last few years. So I do support this budget, but I do feel that we're trying to do the best with what we've got at the same time.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I'd like to endorse my fellow councillors' comments on supporting the budget, and also to the council staff of preparing the budget. And I am pleased to support the 2024-25 25 budget for adoption, proposing a 2.75% increase in rates, which falls in line with the rate cap declared for the 24-25 financial year under the Victorian Government Fair Go rates system. The Warrnambool City Council maintains assets worth in excess of $800 million and is heavily focused on ensuring these assets are maintained and renewed, with the following four expenses making up more than 75% of the allocated budget expenses. Construction of roads, paths and drains, 22.27%, parks, recreation, libraries and culture, 20.45%, aged and family services, 19.94%, and administration, 14.13%. I am not pleased to see the parking fines increased by 25% from $80 to $100, as there are still 2,500 free car parks outside the CBD. But at the same time, I'm pleased to see other parking fees remain the same. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Councillor Koch.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I add my voice to previous colleagues who congratulate the staff at the Warrnambool City Council for preparing this budget. And I'm also pleased to see the Warrnambool City Council is committed to deliver important services, seeing this budget addressing all these issues, and commitment also to provide the essential services. We all know that the cost of living is gone up, and it is not only here in Warrnambool, but it is a national issue and also international problem. So we have to bear with it, and so pleased and happy to endorse this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Koch. I'd just like to add too that compared to last year's rate rise, that we didn't actually take the entire cap. We're actually 0.2% lower this year as well. And on top of the Matron Swinton redevelopment, we've actually got $9 million going to asset renewal, which is really good for our existing assets. And on top of that, there's another $1.5 million for Walter Oval, 0.7 for the Val Bertrand Netball Stadium, and another $600,000 to footpaths and car parks. And being able to deliver all of this while inflation's been 3.6% without cutting any services, I think is a really, it's a big thing for council to be able to continue to support their community like that. And I think it's good that that everyone is supported, even though and everyone is supported moving as we continue to move into the next year. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
Look, I think all my fellow colleagues have said everything that we need to say, so I'm happy to pass to you, Mayor.
All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 7.2, Council Plan 2021-2025. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. The council plan is the key strategic document for this council. It's existing practice to review the council plan annually with officers, and council has provided the opportunity to make changes, normally in the form of additional action. So following a period of consultation, it's recommended that council adopt a revised council plan with a recommendation before you on page 11.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, I've just lost mine. I'd like to move that council, pursuant to Section 90 of the Local Government Act 2020, adopt the Council Plan 21-25-2024 revision and make a copy of the plan available for public inspection at the Warrnambool Civic Centre, 25 Liebig Street, Warrnambool, and on Council's website. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Arnott.
Well, we've entered the final year of our 2025 council plan, and look, this is a very important document. It relates to the long-term community vision 2040 Warrnambool Plan. And we have really attained some important milestones along the way. We've had a completion of Edwards Bridge, we've opened the Library and Learning Centre and the Lake Patobe Adventure Play Space. The feedback from the community has helped set the direction for the Aquatic Centre, which, as we all know, it has reached its end of life and it does need some work on it. And another great thing within this plan is for the new West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House. It's a much needed facility. And I'll just reiterate the importance of the document. It does underpin all that Council is trying to achieve for the community. So happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Paspaliaris.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to just note a handful of things that I would be looking forward to progress through the council plan. One of which is, as Councillor Arnott mentioned, is the West Warrnambool House. I would also love to see the advocacy for funding for the CBD bus interchange project in Lava Street also progress. As also mentioned, a business case for the aquatic strategy is also there. And also there has been support for seasonal increase of FOGO collection over the spring-summer months, which Council has noted they will investigate and assess. So they're things that really stand out for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly?
Yes, look, similar strains of discussion as fellow councillors there, so I won't repeat them. We have had some great achievements over the last 3 or so years. Things have changed since we came into council in November 2020. We lived through a pandemic and we're paying for that a bit now with different things, and costs have risen, but there's still been some great achievements, Edwards Bridge. Edwards Bridge is a particular one, actually. I know that was previous council, that when, the planning started back then, but that bridge is fantastic. Every time I drive over it, I think what a great asset it is to what the bridge was. So that's a great achievement. Again, one of my favourites, delivering the West Warrnambool Neighbourhood House, serving that community, which will benefit so many, providing excellent community services, volunteer connect, youth engagement, diversity, access and inclusion, being more inclusive of our LGBTQI+ community, fostering diversity, our Indigenous community, and continuing to have meaningful relationships with so many groups within our city. So a lot has been achieved, and great to look back at what has happened.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Ziegler.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes. Apart from the comments of my colleagues, I'd like to just make mention of the fact that this draft policy is reflective of the improvements and increases in community consultation, of which I'm very, very proud. Council should be reactive to what the community wants, and since we've been in council, I've noticed that responses and submissions to things that we've put out to the public have increased and have been quite active, more so than I've ever noticed in the past before. So the draft policy actually comes from, comes from a lot of those kind of comments and submissions, and that's the way it should be.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. The council is committed to delivery objectives and strategies described in this council plan. Already this year, council has had 2 workshops going over the plan, and also an online survey for deliberative workshops undertaken by 72 respondents. Strategies and objectives must be in place, in particular the health and well-being of older adults in the community, and engaging in young school children in Learn to Swim programs. Also delivering seasonal programs for the next year for the Lighthouse and Art Gallery exhibitions. Among other economic strategies to be part of the council plan is ensuring a strong economic growth and planning for increased employment and investment in the community. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add that the council plan, it's, as everyone said, this is the final year of it, and it's actually really exciting to see that, like, it does give a total commitment to continue services across council and across the municipality, which is, I think, one of the most important and one of the things I'd be most proud of that we're going to continue to do. And just born out of the consultation that did happen late last year, there is a commitment in there to review green collection over spring peak growing season so that, you know, we may go to weekly collection. There is a commitment in there for that, which will be really good, and that'll something that'll come up in the next budget process. And one of the other things that was born out of the budget consultation was looking at covers for seats around the CBD because so many of them are out. So many of them are out in the rain. So there's a commitment to actually investigate and see what that can look like moving forward. So, you know, it is actually good to see that even though the council plan's progressing, it is, you know, it does actually have a reaction to what comes back in the feedback as well. Councillor Arnott, do you wish to add anything to close?
Once again, I think everyone has contributed really well, so no, I'll leave it to you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.3, Election Period Policy 2024. Mr Mason.
Mayor, as you would no doubt be aware that this council adopted an election period policy in November 2023. Somewhat surprisingly, the Victorian Electoral Commission has recently announced a change to the close of nominations for candidates, and that consequently changes the dates for the caretaker period before the council election. So that's necessitated the change to this policy with only a minor date change. Thus, while it's a procedural matter, it is an important reminder that council elections are rapidly approaching. So the recommendation before you in two parts.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions on that? Do we have a mover? Councillor Jelly.
Thank you, Mayor. I put forward that the council would, number one, adopt the attached election period policy 2024 and two, revoke the election period policy 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Jelly.
Yes, just as the CEO explained, this is something we've had to change because of the Victorian Electoral Commission changed some dates. So we've updated that, and yes, it is a reminder that there is an election coming up, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Councillor Paspaliaris.
I'd just add that apart from the date changes, all other parts to the election policy remain the same, and that the policy reinforces that ordinary business of council continues throughout the election period responsibly and transparently.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Any other councillor wish to speak? And Councillor Jelly, do you wish to close? No. All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.4, extension of the Meals on Wheels contract. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. This is, again, a largely procedural item involving a contract extension which is allowed for in the current Meals on Wheels contract. We're recommending a 12-month extension, but also a variation to the contract for a further effectively 3 months so that the contract aligns with the financial year. If approved as recommended, this would mean that Meals on Wheels continue to be provided by South West Healthcare.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Paspaliaris.
I move that council endorses the extension of the meal procurement contract up to 30th of June 2025, with a contract variation for an additional 3 months to be signed under delegation by the CEO.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Taylor. Councillor Paspaliaris.
Thank you, Mayor. This contract extension is part of a second option exercised by council to enter into a further now 12-month agreement with South West Healthcare to continue the Meals on Wheels service, which South West Healthcare has agreed to. Council does have external funding and some user fees to help provide this service until June 30 next year. So obviously, I think it makes sense to exercise this option. And South West Healthcare has proven to be a reliable partner, providing excellent service on such a large scale. So by my calculations, on average, about 1,700 meals per month over the first 24 months. So that's huge. At this stage, the service must continue, and this appears to be the most streamlined way for it to continue. So I endorse this extension. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I see entering into a new contract with South West Healthcare for the delivery of the Meals on Wheels as a formality, as South West Healthcare have provided a very high quality of service to date and has provided excellent administration and network in accordance with its contractual obligations. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Jelly.
Yes, it is an extension, a request, the procedure to put forward this contract. South West Healthcare have done an excellent job providing these meals for so many people in our community. So congratulations to them, and look forward to the next 12 months.
Thank you, Councillor Jelly. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add, I do think this is one of those critical services with over 41,000 meals delivered so far in the life of the contract. It's one of those services that actually can keep people at home longer. You know, it's one of those that really can change your life. And it's also good to see that delivery of Meals on Wheels is a little bit more eco-friendly with the electric cars we've now got at Archie Graham that we actually use to deliver them now. Councillor Paspaliaris, do you wish to add anything to close?
No.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.5, Information Communications Technology Shared Services Joint Venture Establishment. Mr Mason.
Thank you, Mayor. As councillors would be aware, Warrnambool City Council, Corangamite and Moyne Shires are and have been involved in a joint venture project to implement a common IT platform, Tech One, that we expect will deliver cost savings and efficiency gains. The implementation of the program is going well. We've expected go live date in first quarter next year. This report recommends that Warrnambool City Council recommit to a further 5-year period for the joint venture. We would expect that similar agreements will be endorsed by both Moyne and Corangamite. The recommendation is before you on page 19. Apologies, it's fairly legalistic and jargonistic, but that is reflecting on the advice that we've had in relation to the contract. So, recommendation before you.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Paspaliaris.
I will just recommend that numbers 1, 2 and 3 are put forward. Thank you.
Cool. Sorry, just to clarify, so you're happy to accept the recommendation?
Yes,
Thank you.
accepting the officer's recommendation. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Paspaliaris.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just say that as Mr Mason has indicated, that the joint venture agreement is entered into, or has been entered into, with Warrnambool, Moyne and Corangamite councils, and it's just needing reaffirmation of our participation. It's no less than 12 months prior to the expiry of the original term. There was a state government grant of $4.5 million initially secured for this project to produce a shared corporate digital platform for all 3 councils to utilise. Obviously, the intention is saving money and time, increasing efficiency for all 3 councils in future. I think that this type of joint IT venture will result in a consolidation of systems across the 3 councils, which I feel should reduce cost and increase output over time. So I see obviously the long-term benefits of such a project, and I wish to endorse the continuation of Warrnambool City Council's participation in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Arnott?
I'll just endorse what Councillor Paspaliaris has said, that this is a long-term project. I feel it will really deliver some ongoing benefits to the 3 municipalities, so I'm more than happy to endorse it.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Any other councillor wish to speak? No, I think this is a really great outcome, and to be able to streamline between the 3 councils, especially being one of the few councils that's still actually in their joint venture agreement, it's actually a real feather in the cap to Warrnambool, Moyne and Corangamite and their ability to work together to deliver on this. Councillor Paspaliaris, do you wish to add anything to close? We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item 7.6, Community and International Relations Advisory Committee, replacing community representatives. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through Mayor. Following the resignation of a number of community members, it's recommended that Council appoint 2 new members to this committee. They would be drawn from a panel of people who previously expressed an interest in being involved, and we've confirmed that both of those people are willing and able to go into this committee. We've also taken the opportunity to tidy up the terms of reference, and so some relatively minor changes are recommended. So the recommendation before you on page 24 is in 2 parts, dealing with those 2 separate matters.
Thank you. Any questions? Can we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor. I'll move that the council adopts the updated terms of reference for the Community and International Relations Advisory Committee, and 2, appoints Courtney Matthew and Alex Mellett to the Community and International Relations Advisory Committee for the remainder of the current committee term.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Akosh. Councillor Ziegler.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes. As we all know, the advisory committees are an important part of getting community feedback and input into council matters. And the 2 people who have put their hands up to fill the vacancies for this committee have good credentials and are very keen to offer their contributions. Courtney Matthew lived in Mayura for a period, and Alex Mellett moved to the southwest from Germany 10 years ago. So these folks have good experience and credentials to offer to the advisory board.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Akosh.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it is exciting to see some people joining the International and Community and International Relations Advisory Committee. Also, I'm excited to see the updating of the term of reference to suit the situation of the current issues facing the committees. And as my colleague Richard said, we have 2 interested individuals to join the committee, Courtney Matthew and Alex, who actually will bring international experience to the committee. That should be an asset to the committee as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Akosh. Any other councillor wish to speak? I'd just like to add that thank you to everyone who's actually put in their time on this committee over the previous part of the term, and I really look forward to seeing Courtney and Alex's contribution as we get to the last few meetings before the end of the council term. Councillor Ziegler, do you have anything to add?
No, thanks, Mayor.
We'll put the motion to the vote then. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.7, Lake Potobe Integrated Water Management Plan. Mr Mason.
Thank you, through Mayor. Lake Potobe is an important recreational and environmental asset for Warrnambool City Council. Council received funding from the state government to prepare what is known as an integrated water management plan for this area. The plan identifies future projects and works that would improve both the environmental and recreational and stormwater uses of the lake. And once, or if adopted, we would then seek to implement or carry out these projects as funding becomes available. And again, important, we'll be looking for state government to provide some of that funding. So the recommendation is that council adopt the plan.
Thank you, Mr Mason. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Ziegler.
Yes, Mayor. I'll move that the council adopts the Lake Potobe Integrated Water Management Plan 2024.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Paspaliaris. Councillor Ziegler.
Yeah, it's no secret that Lake Potobe holds significant meaning for the people of Warrnambool and the region. It's incredibly important that we, the group of us all who are involved in its management, look after it as best we can. So this plan involves things like water quality improvement, lake links and levels, recreation, education and the value of water, and aquifer recharge, catchment permeability and so on. The thing that's very impressive about this plan is that it was developed in collaboration with council staff, Eastern Maar, Aboriginal Corporation, Glenelg Hopkins Catchment Management Authority, Warren Water, Southern Rural Water and the Department of Energy, Environment and Climate Action. And it was funded by a DECA grant with contributions from the City Council and Warren Water. It's an incredibly important thing to make sure that our precious Lake Potobe is maintained and improved in terms of its water quality. It was exciting to hear some of the reports at one of the recent briefings about how it's become quite a special little spot for anglers locally as well.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Paspaliaris.
Thank you, Mayor. As mentioned by Councillor Ziegler, the Lake Potobe area is unique in providing an array of, an array of activities. It's obviously a really nice area to recreate in terms of major playground, tennis club, BMX, rec reserves, all sorts of things. I think it's very highly valued by the public as an open space. And I think that the fact that this water management plan has been that collaborative effort between important stakeholders, different people, community, it's a very holistic look at this sort of plan. The plan outlines a series of opportunities and it interfaces with some further objectives, with the Lake Potobe Master Plan, with aspects of climate change and just some overall assessments. And so out of which we've got a list of a series of priorities. So I think the whole sort of effort here has been quite multi-layered, and I'm really happy with the fact that it has sought response from a lot of different people and a lot of different groups. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Paspaliaris. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I can remember decades ago when Lake Potobe was just a very dirty swamp with not a pleasant smell about it, and nobody ever had any interest in Lake Potobe whatsoever. but through good council administration over the years, Lake Batobe has become a significant and highly valued open space area within the city of Warrnambool. This plan is absolutely vital to the future management and community participation of the lake. This plan captures the community's aspirations by bringing water management and green infrastructure together, including water conservation, improved stormwater systems, marine health, education, and the value of this water plan is most important. Thank you, Mayor Blaine.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Ziegler, do you wish to add anything to close?
No, thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to acknowledge the positive comments from all the other people who have spoken. It's incredibly important that we get this right because it is such a highly valued open space and it needs to be maintained as good as we can get it.
Thank you, Councillor Ziegler. All right, we'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.8, Advisory Committee Reports. Mr Mason.
Pretty simple, Mayor. There are two records of meetings to be received.
Cool. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Paspaliaris.
I'll move that the records of the Community and International Relations Advisory Committee meeting held on the 26th of March 2024 and the Cycling Reference Group meeting held on 24th of April 2024 be received.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Paspaliaris.
No, thank you.
Put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.9, informal meetings of council reports. Mr Mason.
Again, three of our meetings, the records are there to be received.
Any questions? Put the motion to the vote. Oh, sorry. Mover. So we need a mover. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mayor Blaine. I would like to move the records of the informal meetings of council held on the 13th, 20th and 27th of May 2024 be received.
Thank you, Councillor Taylor. A seconder, Councillor Ziegler. Councillor Taylor.
No, thank you, Mayor.
Put the motion to a vote this time. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item 7.10, Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report. The report's there for everyone. Any questions? Do we have a mover? Councillor Rakoish.
Thank you, Mayor. Move that the Mayoral and Chief Executive Officer Council Activities Summary Report be received.
Thank you. I have a seconder, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Rakoish.
Thank you.
We'll put the motion to the vote. All those in favour, passed unanimously. Item number 8, notices of motion. Mr Mason.
No notices of motion.
Item 9, general business. Did anyone have anything to raise in general business tonight? No? Very good. Item 10, urgent business.
No.
Close the meeting. It is 6:33. Thank you everyone for coming out and we'll see you next month.